Hellfire and the Fall of Hippos, but maybe not. We are crushing it. This game by our good buddy Jim Webster, look for him down in the comments, gives you the ability to manage the strategic and logistical difficulties of keeping a small kingdom on the edge of a galactic empire in shape after the Imperial boys go away. Remember, empires are very expensive. You don't launch an empire because you want to make money. It doesn't work that way. If you're running a whole empire, it's expensive. You have to invest a whole lot of money in these like third planet systems, most of which are going to fail the minute you bail out because they don't have the mindset to run themselves. I'm talking about the science fiction here. As above, so below. Well, our little kingdom here is doing a pretty great job. I mean, we've had our challenges. You know, we've had some ups, we've had some downs. But overall, we're doing pretty good. Take a look. This is Hippos. This is our capital city. This is where the King Wargamius III, we are in the 4th year of his reign. Once we get through 6 years, I think it's after the 6th year, there's a 1 in 10 chance that he dies or is deposed or assassinated every year. Remember, we're surrounded by a bunch of ingrates. We do a little bit of trading with these guys. Maybe not the Grey Horde. They got nothing we want. But like the Tillian Republic, the Popular Front, the Mockins, there's every year there's trade across the border. But sometimes they come and they attack us. Rude. But we're ready for it now, baby. We got ourselves a hardcore military. The only problem we're still facing is that we had a little bit of a brother on brother action here, where Kanatha like rebelled against us and took half the cities. They did okay, but they didn't get their hands on the treasury, which was so we could keep the campaign going. And we've pushed them all the way back to Pella. And oh, by the way, here's a look at what Pella looks like. It's not gonna look this nice for long, baby. We are gonna retake it this year, 2955, but you saw that in the title. We've been doing this long enough. You know about all the checkpoints we have to do. Let me just say a couple of things. We're in the 12th year of the campaign. We're in the 4th year of King Wargamius III's reign. That's gonna come up later. When we roll for our barbarian tribes, if the Tillians invade, no, they don't. We thumped them pretty good, and we pushed them back over. We're the Tillians. They're over here, right? We probably trading with them right now. Because we won, we probably enacted some reparations from them, probably putting some tariffs on them, which makes them get a little bit froggy. So maybe they'll come after us next year, but not this year. They're still trying to rebuild their army after we smacked them down pretty good. Oh, I let me erase this because there's a little cheat. I had to restart and re-record because some dumb things happened in the background. Don't worry about it. All right. So one other thing we got to talk about is this campaign end. At the end of 2954 Anno Domini, we are supposed to roll to see if anything really interesting happens. And I can't remember if I already did this or not. I'm going to do it right now. I say campaign end here. It's not necessarily the end of the campaign. There could be space pirates that show up. And I'm talking about some like hammers, slammers, what would that be? Division-sized invaders. Several companies, the landing ships companies will raid us and then they'll blast off into the sky. It could be a rival emperor that shows up and says, hey, this is a pretty nice place you got here. It'd be a shame if someone colonized it. But if we're doing a good enough job, which I think we are, he may just say, look, pay me half of whatever's in your treasury and I'll start protecting you from these guys. Give me a 10% cut. We'll establish trade, and now you are the king of a province that is no longer part of the Kaizen Empire. After 12 years, we've been swallowed up by, I don't know, the Denebian Empire, right? Alternatively, maybe the Kaizen, maybe they got their act together back there on the planet Kaizen, and they came back and said, hey, good job. Maybe we'll pay you a little bit of money, but we're going to bring the Imperial Navy back, and they're going to threaten to orbital bombardment anybody that gets a little squirrely, so that would make us very safe and sound, and we could get back to trading with the center of the galaxy. So that's what we have now, and I'm going to do things a little different. Oh, our buddy old Jim Webster says this is an optional rule. Roll at the end of every year, there's a 1% chance. I'm going to bump that up by 1% every year because that makes it that much more likely that we can put a bow on this campaign and not just be in a perpetual spiral of, staticness. So checking to see 1 or a 2. Nope, we get a 24. Nothing happens. So now we have to check to see if our cities shrink. Notice Pella and Scythopolis. Now we took Scythopolis back last year. So we've got 9 of the 10 cities in the Decapolis are ours. Pella still in open revolt. As I said, we're going to have to send some boys over to remind them what's what. Meanwhile, I got to find out if Hippo shrinks. No, it does not. So I got a 1 in 6 chance that each of these cities, but a 2 in 6 chance that Pella. So I'm going to roll 3 times. On a 1 or a 2, or a 1. Gadara does not. Pella does shrink, and Philly does not. So Pella goes from 7 to 6. A lot of refugees, a lot of loyalists are streaming out. There's probably some purges. You know what it's like when you're a history guy, right? You're a war gamer. So you know what it's like when you've got just that one last city and the cordon is tightening around it. Scythopolis on a 1 or a 2. Dion on a 1 and Kanatha on a 1. Nope. So then Rafana on a 1. Gerasa on a 1 and Damascus on a 1. So Damascus also shrinks by 1. That is going to affect the calculus on both sides of the ledger. Let's take a look at that real quick. Before we do though, let's check the governor death. There's a 1 in 10 chance that Wargamius III meets an untimely demise. It does not happen this year. So now we turn the page. We're going to come back to the rebels. The loss of 1 population from Damascus means something very interesting happens. It is a cultural center of the arts, and it has now hit half of its original population. This is why it's so important to keep track of the original population. When you have one of these kinds of cities, art, finance, industry, reduced to half, you stop checking for that kind of city. The fashions have moved on. We're no longer trying to mimic a rustic version of the Kaisan fashions. We now have our own Hippopolitan fashions. Probably tends, they're hippos, right? So it probably tends towards the muumuu, right? Gray fabrics a lot. Fat people clothes. A lot of big and tall shops. We grow them bigger out here in the Hippopolitan metropolitan area and the Decapolis. So that's why I wrote down. I'm sorry. So it was Pella and. Oh, that's 2954. What am I doing here? Sorry about that. Let's get this right. Pella and Damascus reduced. So let me just make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, and Damascus is at 4. So I'm going to write here in the 2955 notes. Art stops shrinking. Okay? And so really what you want to have happen here to maximize the game, it's all random so you don't have any say over things. But now that you want one city to go down to half and stop, because then the other cities won't be reduced at all. You could conceivably get everybody down to within 1 point of half, and then that last one goes, which means you're almost at half on all 3 of those cities. So we're done losing any of our tax base here on our art cities. So Rafana will stay at 11. What's the other one? Damascus will stay at 4, and Gerasa stays at 10. There may be a chance that some of these grow as people feed into there, but I got to double check the rules on that. I'm not going to worry about that right now. The last thing we need to do is we need to figure out what our barbarians are up to. The rebels are going to hole up in Pella, and then just to kind of go over that one more time, we'll probably roll like a D6 or like a D3 to find out how many regulars companies of regulars they buy. They're not going to get all 4. They can barely afford it. And then the rest will be the militia. And there's a 1 in 10 chance, as usual, that whoever we send after Pella, they may just surrender the gate. They may just open the gates to us and surrender because they know it's a lost cause. If we send like a 3-to-1 force, they're just going to be like, yeah, you know what? We're just going to, the mob will grab the ringleaders and hand them over to us for military tribunal, where after a fair and impartial trial, we will hang them from the rafters. So the last thing we need to do is roll a D6. How many barbarian tribes are interested in coming at us, bro? 3 this time. Okay. So now I need to turn my attention back to the map so I can figure out which 3 it is. And we can come over here, and I can better zoom out so we can actually see those barbarians. And I roll on a 1, it's the Mackins. On a 2, it's the Popular Front. On a 3, it's the Wheelians. On a 4, it's the Puka. On a 5, nothing happens. And on a 6, the Grey Horde shows up. I gotta roll a total of 3 dice, so I will grab my Bladestorm dice. I hope you guys are enjoying the little bit of miniature wargaming we're getting in. I know we're doing a lot more paper and pencil stuff. And the other thing I'll say is whatever battles we have to come up with here, I think I'm going to turn my attention back to the what was the title that we did before? Is it Fateful Decisions or Microcosm? It's one of these two. I can never remember. Let me just look it up right here real quick. So Hell in Microcosm, there's a gap in the rules. This is the one where you've got maneuver units or company. Yeah, by company, right? So however many companies that you're fighting, those are your maneuver units. I think this is the way to go. Which one is Hell in Fateful Decisions? Who did I pinch these from? No, that's not what I want. Let's take a look here. Troop types, green, no. The group is a maneuver unit. It will tend to be a company augmented with heavy weapons and support. Group should stick together. No base should move more. Yeah, I think this one's a little too small. Anyway, the point being, no more of this, like, just rolling a handful of dice risk style. More AI. Boy, what a disaster that was. I mean, it worked okay, I guess, for what it was. But it was absolutely, I consider it a failed experiment. I won't be doing that again. Instead, I'll probably draw out a little bit of terrain and some markers, and we'll just use red and blue markers and do it like that. Okay, but this may all be moot because I may roll triple 5s. So we get 1, 1, and 4. That means we're going to get 2 forces of the Maka and the Puka, the Maka Puka. So 2 forces of Maka and 1 Puka. And then we have to take a look at what that means and what these outsiders are up to. Why you hassling me, bro? I thought we were friends. What are you doing? We're going to roll a d6 for each of these. So I have to roll twice for the Maka and once for the Puka. I will use 2 different colored dice. The white dice are going to be for the Maka, and on a 1, they're just raiding. On a 2, they want to take a city. On a 3 or 4, they can be bought off, which I think we've talked about that in the past. And then on a 5 or 6, paid allies. So this just means give them money, they go away. So we get a 1 for the Puka, which means they are going to raid. So the Puka have a raid, and we'll take a look at what their forces look like. And then a 2 and a 3 for the Maka. Want to take a city and be bought off. And it doesn't matter which is which. Take city, panhandling. So those are our 2. They're just engaged in a little bit of light extortion. We're pretty rich, man. We are pretty rich. Now, the interesting thing is the Maka that are looking to take a city, they're over here, right? So there are effectively 2 cities that they could go after, Pella and Scythopolis. Maybe Hippos, that's our capital. I don't know that they want to do that. You have to go back and read the description of the Maka, because it actually gives you a little bit more guidance than you might think. I wish these were in alphabetical order. That would make it a little easier. So here we see, Jim says these are large people. Oh, they're like Americans. They are of interest. They like the burgers. They are of interest to anthropologists because of what government, they keep no records. Customers by customer and lot, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm not a sociologist. I'm a wargamer. I just tell me what they're doing, guy. It says here they are politically incontinent. Well, yeah, they're incontinent. Look, this is a continent, and they're in it. Come on, Jim. Roll a d6 each year. On a 1, you get a new head of state. Long-term policy is to be paid to go away. All right, well, that doesn't help. They're built around tax avoidance. Oh, yeah, we like these guys. All right, so on a 1, they're not going to do anything. All right, so then the other guys, on a 1, yeah, they're both coming to town. So what I'm going to do is on a 1, 2, 3, Scythopolis, 4, 5, 6, Pella. So on a 6, so maybe they want to take the city. They're going after Pella. So that gives us, that's interesting. That's really interesting. But the question is, what kind of forces are they bringing, right? Who did they invite to the party? Normally they have, so it's going to be a normal force. They're not doing anything huge. So we have a normal force size is D8 infantry, and then 1 mounted unit for every 4, 1 artillery battery per mounted unit. Okay, so I have to roll a D8 for that. So they got 4 companies. So 4 companies plus 1 mounted plus 1 artillery. It's 1 arty per mounted. Moving on, Pella. So the question is, do we need to intercept those guys? Okay, we'll get to it. The second thing is that these guys want to be paid to go away. So once again, in this case, we have 3 companies of, is that it? It's for every 4 units rounding up. All right, so same thing. They've got 1 mounted and 1 artillery band. Okay, so plus 1 mounted plus 1 artillery. And it may take us a little longer to get through these battles. You may do 1 battle per episode, which means 2956 might be like 3 weeks away as this goes live. But these guys, like we said, they're open to negotiations. The other thing we have to look at is the Puka, who are 11OP. No, I keep forgetting these are not in alphabetical order. So Puka, there's the Grey Horde. Nope, you guys are staying home. The Mountain Tribes, shunned by all others. Okay, the Mountain Men are coming with a normal force. They've got D6 infantry, so 4 infantry, and they've got 1 mounted for every 3 units. So that's going to be 4 companies of infantry plus, I guess we'll call it 2 mounted. And then mounted is going to be cavalry, who count as having personal projectile weapons. And I will, once we figure out what's going on, I will roll for these. But the first thing we want to do is buy off this force of Maka. Okay? They can be bought off. If offered money, they roll a D6, a D8 times 100. That's how many credits it costs to buy off each company. And this is going to be 5 companies altogether. So I roll a D8 and I get a 6. Okay, now decision time. I can negotiate. If I get lower than a 6, then we split the difference, and that's what I pay per company. If I get higher than a 6, we do the exact same thing. Yeah, I'm going to send my negotiators out to talk to them. With a 4, the 6 plus 4 divided by 2 becomes 5, so it's going to cost me 500 credits to pay these guys to go away. It will allow itself to be hired as paid allies on a 1 or a 2. Oh, well, isn't that interesting? So I can buy these guys, but if they serve as paid allies, it's going to be 600 per month per company. So 3, 4, 5 times 6 for 3,000 credits, that's a bargain. They're allies, but they won't fight against their Makan friends. Okay, so we're going to use these guys to go after the Puka. Now the Puka come streaming through the mountains, so they may actually, and the Tillians may let them go through. So I've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to roll a D8 to find out which city they're trying to raid. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, from left to right. So on a 4, they're going to raid Philadelphia. And now I've got some allies that I can use to help. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send these 5 to attack these. So here's what we're doing. So I'm going to call this the 1 Maka and the 2 Maka. So 2 Maka will help us defend against the Puka raid, okay? And then, there's a little bit more logistics we have to do, because this 1 Maka is going to, now, wait, are we going to have time for that? Because the other thing that I almost forgot about is we have to work out the timing of these, right? Do the Puka suffer a change in heart? In other words, does the Departamento Assassinorum knock off the leader of the Puka? There is a 1 in 6 chance that happens. So 5, it doesn't happen. That's fine. Now we got to figure out the timing of all these. And to do that, we roll a D6. I'm going to roll 1, 2, 3 times. And then you add 4 to that. And that's the month that they show up. So on month 9, the Makans show up. And on month 9, the other Makans show up. And then on month there's my trip. Oh boy. There's your conspiracy theory. I rolled triple 5s. Oh, you know what that means. Yeah, those of you that have ever had run-ins with that demonic organization that really respects the 555, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't need them coming after you. Right. So this is all going to happen late in the year. It's all going to happen in September. So we have lots of time to get ready for these actions. So the Maka are taking Pella. So we have to figure out what our response is going to be. And because it's all happening in September, we're going to have plenty of time to sort out our defenses. So let's take a look at our military activity. We've got lots of electronic countermeasures. I can kind of zoom in on that for you guys here. Ooh, there we go. Okay. I have one squadron of aircraft. Now, this is all happening at the same time, so we got to pick. Oh, there's one more thing I got to do. There's a chance that Pella surrenders to the raiding force. The guys that are fighting a city. They will surrender on a 1 on a roll of a d10. So with a 6, they don't surrender. That means there will be some fighting. I guess Imperial forces... I guess this is a wild one, man. Do we need... Okay, we got time. We can do what we want. What we're going to do is we are going to send our attackers in to take the city in as soon as possible. It's going to be January, February, March. Okay, we're going to send our guys in. We're going to attack the city in March, and that way we've got the other 6 months to prepare for the raiders showing up and trying to take the city. Okay. Now, bear in mind, we've got a total of 3 battalions of regular infantry, and then one with medium armor and 3 battalions of regular infantry with heavy armor. So that's kind of our bulk. That's our base. That's the spine, the framework, and we got to decide who's doing what with who. So I got 3 companies of infantry plus 1 company of supporting armor. Remember that our Machins going after the Puka, it's going to be the Machins are outnumbered. So what I can do is if I say, so these guys defending against the Puka, I'm going to send 1 battalion. Okay. And that gives me 3 infantry companies plus 1 company of, let me put it right here where you can actually see it. Plus 1 company of, let's send our medium armor. Okay. Now we outnumber the raiders. We've got 6-4 on that one. We've got 1 mounted going after 2 mounted, and then we're going to have plenty of artillery. So the other thing we can do, we've got this squadron of aircraft. I'm going to hit the Puka with those. Actually, who's bigger? I don't think it really matters. We do have the unpopular front. These are mercenaries. We're not going to use those, but we do have a couple of units of tube artillery. We'll go with plus 2 arty for both of these. So who's defending the Maka trying to take Pella? Well, we're gonna send first. It's gonna be retake Pella. Boy, I warned you this was gonna be an ugly one. They're probably gonna have a 50-50 chance of shrinking again. So retake Pella first in like March, or we'll call it April. Okay, that still gives us like 4 months to prepare for the Maka, and that's gonna be 2 battalion with medium armor. So that gives us a fresh battalion with the heavy armor for this. 1 battalion with the heavy armor. And of course, these guys might get shot up pretty good, but we'll be able to use those over here as well. So then this will be plus 2 arty, who will flow down to there, plus air support, which will flow down to here. And then do I have enough? The other question then becomes, I have enough field medical teams. I got 3 companies of those. So they'll be able to assist first with retaking, and then we'll have 1 or 2 that we can use on the other 2 battles that are happening at largely the same time. So field medical teams were covered there. I've got 1 counter battery who will go against who's got artillery? The Machins. So we're going to go with ECM. We're going to use those against the guys that have artillery. Okay. So when we fight the Puka, they got no artillery. I'm going to have 2, 3 going after them. We're just going to blast them from the field before they even come to grips with us. I do have a support and recovery battalion. So they're going to be hard pressed. I'll send, one company after each of these. And then I have the engineer battalion. I'm going to use the engineer battalion with 4 companies of those, 4 engineering units with 4 APCs. So let's send them so these are the guys that can flow down after that. Once they retake Pella, they're actually going to flow up, right? To do, to assist with the Machins over here. So why don't we, the Macha they're defending Puka, let's go after, let's put our engineering battalion here, okay? And I may want to buy another one of those, but that's where we're at. So for 3,000 credits this year, we get some lovely allies to help us with the Puka. And I've got 2, really kind of 3 battles to fight. But the last thing we need to do to establish that is I'm going to roll a D6, divide by 2. So how many companies, where is it here? So how many companies are the rebels bringing to that fight? I'm going to have 3 fights altogether. They're only going to buy 1 regular company. So it's going to set them back 3,000. And remember, they've only got 3 and 3. Oh, so maybe that kind of limits things, doesn't it? If they spend if they buy 3 militia, that's 6,000. And then they've got enough. So they can actually they have enough left over to buy 2. So it's going to be 3 companies of militia and 2 companies of expeditionary. Those are the more professional militias, right? This is the just find anybody that can hold a weapon and stick it in his hands. These guys are more like the equivalent of the National Guard. And when our guys show up, I've already committed the forces. They're going to surrender on, I think we said it's a 1 in 10. Is that right? So now we're we're the NPCs. Is that what it is? We're trying to take a city. If taxes are high, they will surrender on a roll of 1. If the city surrenders to barbarians, which they didn't, you can try to take it back, turning up with a military force stronger than any barbarian garrison. The city will surrender you on a 1, 2, or 3, provided it's provided normal taxation. So in this case, it's a 1, 2, or 3. They'll just come on board. So no with a 6. So I have to fight off 5 companies of mooks with this force down here that we talked about. 2 battalions with the armor, 2 artillery. Maybe we don't use the air support. I'm not using air support. I'm going to hit them with 2 battalions. Let's see. So retaking Pella. I'm gonna need more than that, aren't I? Because we're at about 1 to 1, but we do have the artillery helping us out, and we do have armor, which they don't. We're a lot more professional than they are, so I think we're gonna be okay. We outnumber them 6 to 5, which ain't great, but with the addition of the 2 companies of medium armor, the 2 units of artillery, and then what else do we got? Is there anybody else we want to use? Field medical support recovery. Yeah, we got those. We could use the mercs maybe to help us out a little bit. I don't like that. I think we're good. I think with the addition of the artillery, I don't want. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring the air support. That'll force them to keep their heads down. Yeah. Okay. So in the next episode, we'll probably start with what's going on over here on the Western Front. Things are not peaceful on the Western Front. We've got the Machins showing up to Pella. We've got the Puka showing up in Kanatha going, hey, we need work. We're like, okay, come over here and fight over the river with us. And I think we've kind of talked a little bit about what Pella looks like. So I have these blow-ups that I made of the local surroundings, not Dion, not Philadelphia. Now this is kind of the scale is too big here on these. This is like 1 inch equals 10 miles or something ridiculous like that. I don't know why he did this, except that it was fun. So here's Pella. There's a city center right on the river, and there's 3 major bridges, some woods over here. So we got to figure out exactly what that looks like, but we'll save that for another day. This is just the logistics. We got 3 fights, and we may just wind up retaking Pella, and then the Macha come, and then we can do our thing. So we'll do that next week. Tune in. Until then, I'm praying for you.